Hello, everybody. Welcome in to a brand new edition, Sixth Man Up. As always, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. We appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for joining us on a big basketball Tuesday. Mark Olopsky, Danny Boy Reg. Olopsky, how are you?
I am doing wonderful this Tuesday morning. It's a nice, warm inside. Don't have to be outside today. Today I get to chill.
It's starting to become that time of year where, we're gonna have to start bundling up a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting cold out there,
Mhm.
and I don't like the cold.
No,
But
none of us do.
enough about the weather. Let's get to why we're here, the NBA. And before we get into Dan and I's most favorite team, the New York Knicks, we have some breaking news over the last now let's span it now over the last couple of months with the gambling indictment of Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, but now also the LA Lakers are being looked into.
Mm.
Dan, this is just starting to spread,
Mm.
and where as it could be as simple as, you know, inside employees, towel boys and whatnot, may not be any NBA players, but still, something's going on in LA. How long is it we're going to find out this is happening all over?
Well, what's bothering me the most is the fact that it's involving so many different aspects of teams and personnel and all these things. And then it, the fact that it's not just basketball, that it is spilling into America's pastime in baseball and our passion in football as well. It may not be public right now, but I'm very certain that the feds are looking into all the major sports with all this gambling scandals going on there because there is massive corruption going on in every circle possible. Um, I'm concerned that the gambling world has really overtaken sports, and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to just be a fun thing to do while watching a sport, but it has so much influence over the daily lives and the daily business of the industry.
You can't flip a channel these days without coming across whether it's FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Bet 10, I don't know, even all these new ones out there, Better and Cash, whatever.
Yeah.
Gambling is one of the worst addictions there are out there. And sometimes you get involved way deeper than you can afford to be. And then you go do stupid stuff like this. But as Dan pointed out, it's not just basketball. We saw the problem with Shohei Ohtani and Ippy, his interpreter.
Yeah.
We've seen what happened with Calvin Ridley. We just saw the indictments of Emmanuel Clase. I mean, so much has been influenced, and it's not on a game itself. It's coming down to personal player performances.
Yeah.
Bet the unders. I'm gonna be out in 7 minutes. Don't just bet all the unders. That's a lot of what they're looking into. It is not, oh, they're gonna go on a 7 game win streak. It's what are they betting on? Why are they betting on these so little numbers? And
Mhm.
that's where they're going with it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna find out how much insider trading. But here comes the funny thing. It's still not gonna stop people from betting on sports
Mhm.
every day.
Exactly. And just to be clear, all the Laker personnel that are handing in their cell phones to these investigators, they're not being charged with crimes or anything. I want to make sure that we get that
Right.
straightened out. It's not about them being charged with crimes. It's about seeing what else they could find that could tie them to more people who will be involved, who will be charged. It's a scary place. It really is. And you're right, Mark. No one's gonna stop gambling. It's it's been a fabric since before these legal sports books.
Oh yeah. I mean, gambling. You want to go all the way back? Go talk to Al Capone. Al Capone could go tell you about gambling.
You know?
Charlie Lucky Luciano. They all go tell you about the gambling area.
I mean, how long has horse
Like,
racing been a thing?
oh, for way before I even knew about it.
Like, jeez.
But you know, it's a very dangerous lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it can consume you. However, I mean, when it's corruption, yeah, has to be handled right at the stop. But if it was an everyday Joe Schmo pulling this off, would we be hearing about it the way we are? No, because these guys are high profile. Joe Schmo, who's doing this for $300 a month, they don't give a shit about. They're trying to set examples at the highest levels, and if they're committing crimes, rightfully, then you got that's what it is. But so on and so forth.
Yeah.
As more information obviously comes out,
Yeah.
we'll update you on the right here on the six man up.
Yeah. What do you do if you're the NBA or the NFL? Like, the fact that you have Congress, you have senators like Ted Cruz, they're gonna get involved in this. They're gonna because he leads the committee in that oversees the gambling and stuff. Like, what do you do when Congress starts to get involved? It takes me back to the days of the steroids, you know?
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. McGuire, Sosa, Palmero all went in for the doping scam. Now we're gonna have the gambling scam.
You
Let's hope we never have the hire for kill scam.
know?
I think that'd be taking it a little far, but
Yeah, no, 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 no ways.
that being said, let's head on back to the good old Empire State, where the last time we left you, the Knicks were 6-3 after a nice little run, and they went 2-2 over this last week, bringing their record to 8-5, second in the East. And yet again, the Knicks had a back-to-back game situation, and we'll get to that quickly. But the first loss, unfortunately, came against the Orlando Magic. Orlando pretty much controlled this game from the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah, with even with Brunson playing at high level, Orlando is just way too much with game highs from Franz Wagner, and keep it going. You know, the good thing is they kept Paolo Banchero off the real board, but when you have Franz Wagner and Desmond Bain, and then three guys off the bench giving you double figure points, the Knicks themselves really got into a rough situation where they lost OG Anunoby in this game, and he's going to be out for a while. And that's a huge loss, Dan, as he's been playing at such a high caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick said I got a couple injuries that we have to address that are not good. Missing a lot of time.
First one went down with being OG Anunoby. Anobi, sorry, I always butcher his name. Um,
Yeah.
uh, they're not really giving a timeline at the moment, but I've heard anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. So that's just one of the dominoes that have fallen. But the Knicks fell in this game, and it's a game they could have won, but they were just playing so much from behind. They
Yeah.
didn't get much going, Dan.
Yeah, and by the way, a lot of the Tom Thibodeau minutes police, oh, you can't play Brunson 40 plus minutes a night, and you can't play Cat, you're gonna kill him and everything. Um, why was Mike Brown playing Jalen Brunson in garbage time when they know they were gonna lose?
Dude, that I don't get.
And look again, whatever. Like, if Brunson wants to play, Brunson wants to play. No, it was crickets. No one was talking about the fact that Brunson was overplayed against the Magic and was playing when the game didn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like, where is the outrage? If the real outrage was really about Brunson playing too much last year, right? Where was the outrage here?
Mhm.
He hurts his leg. He's gonna be out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man.
It's hard. You're taking the NBA, one of the top three NBA point guards in all of basketball, and taking him out of the game.
Yeah.
You know, are the Knicks prepared to replace someone like Jalen Brunson? I don't think any team could replace a Jalen Brunson, a LeBron James, a
Mhm.
Giannis, a Wemby. These are players that cannot be replicated from the bench.
Yeah, his obviously the fact that he's so good on the ISO, like a lot of these players on the Knicks can't recreate that. They can't. So tough loss. That's a tough one as
Yep.
well. They did move on without Brunson against the Heat on Friday. Um,
And it was a very impressive win.
they did very well.
Yep.
Everybody was involved.
Yeah. With Cat getting the lead high of 39 points, 13 of 26 shooting. And here's a big number. It's 6 of 14 from three-point shooting. He has been much, much better. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of him taking 14 3-point shots, but when you're again trying to replace a Jalen Brunson,
Yeah.
you got to generate points wherever. I mean, and he had the hot hand.
Yeah.
That was what it came to.
Though that first half by Cat was just absolutely tremendous. He
Unbelievable.
had most of
Uh,
he had most of his points in that first half. But
yeah,
still enough. Like, look, he nearly had 40. So it's like, it was a great night for Cat. Again, not much of a factor because he didn't have to be, but still did very well. How about Landry Shamet, man? He also
yeah,
had 36 points on the night.
yeah.
Um,
And that's coming off the bench, and that says a lot.
mhm.
I mean, and you can't also forget about Jordan Clarkson coming off also with
Yeah,
24.
Clarkson, who's been very good. He's been
So,
very good.
I mean, the Knicks have options to be
Yes.
able to put into play, but when you lose the presence of Jalen Brunson,
Yeah.
it worries you.
Yeah, it's
The
tough.
Knicks need,
Yeah, go
sorry,
ahead. I'm sorry. No, no, no.
no, the Knicks need, this is a perfect time for bench players like Shemet and Clarkson and Hart and McBride to step up a little bit more to
Yeah.
try to fill in these roles. As I said, this is the Moneyball situation. You can't just replace Jalen Brunson. You need 2 to 3 players to do that.
Yeah, obviously, going with Deuce is a much smaller option. and he's obviously not very efficient as a big time guard. That's
Yeah.
why he comes off the bench. But knowing that Deuce can actually, get some production out there and he can dish the ball, he can be a shooter. Again, not as effective as Brunson, but it could get the job done. The biggest things that we have to see, the biggest people that have to perform well. We need Cat to continue to perform well. Um, we need Mikal Bridges to do his stuff. And, obviously, we hope to get more out of Mitchell Robinson. I know he's not necessarily playing a lot because we need him healthy for the playoffs. So that, and then just utilizing the bench and hope for the best.
One thing you pointed out on is Mitchell Robinson has been great at just being in there for rebounding purposes only. He's up there to, 8, 9 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
He might be on the floor for about 18, 19 minutes. They don't want him shooting. The man can't shoot. That's
Yeah.
fine. Get
Well,
in there.
you certainly don't want him to become a liability, which he has not been. Thank goodness.
Right. And
You
then, as you said, saving him for the playoffs when he's going to be needed and most healthy, especially under the boards, because they'll also rely on Josh Hart as well at that point. But to have a healthy Mitchell Robinson definitely would be better.
yeah.
Now, the Knicks did have this as a back-to-back game with the Miami Heat, and being down, now you're down OG Anunoby and you're down, um, excuse me, and you're down Jalen Brunson. The Knicks took a hard loss on this one, and I don't want to call it it wasn't a crushing defeat. It was a hard loss as they played to get up against Miami toe to toe in this game, and it
Yeah.
came down to literally the last few seconds of the game. Um, Game highs, kind of, was pretty happy with how this mostly turned out. Game highs from the Knicks, you had McBride with 25, you had Mikal Bridges with 23, Towns with 22, Clarkson with 14, Hart with 14, Shamed had 10. Even our guy who we said we didn't want shooting had 5 points. Mitchell Robinson, everybody participated, but they were just edged out.
Was that where block a goaltending? Because they reviewed it for quite a bit, and everyone knew
Yeah.
for sure it was goaltending. Psych, not goaltending. It was not a tie game.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had to do a jump ball because, of course, the refs didn't realize that the Knicks possessed the damn ball after they
Right.
to the block. Um, so they jumped the ball. They were able to get the possession. Two good looks out of Cat. Not the greatest shots though. Like I think
No.
the shots weren't that great. And Knicks lose by two. Knicks had a lead in the fourth quarter, blew it.
Hmm.
They didn't score a bucket for like 3.5 minutes, and then Miami had, I think, had like a 10 point lead. I was like in and out because I was cleaning my room, so I was kind of in and out of the game. Um, but I mean, good comeback at least to make them sweat a bit. Miami's gonna be a tough matchup. I think this is like the
Yes.
first time we faced Miami this season, and they've all been very close. So I expect it to be a good matchup for them this season.
Yeah. It's look, I love watching this team play. There's so much energy and there's so much enthusiasm, and it's a lot of life from the bench when stuff is going on. They're getting behind it. And the more you have that going, the more morale is up, more morale, the better your team's going to play. And Mike Brown has done a very, very, very good job with this team so far.
Mhm.
The Knicks are off tonight. They play tomorrow against the non-Luka Doncic Dallas Mavericks. And I know Luka hasn't been there for a while, but I kind of like to say it that way.
Thank you,
Uh,
Nico.
Yeah, I know. It's like all we hear is to fire the poor GM, and whatnot. But the Knicks are in Dallas tomorrow night. What are we going to look for tomorrow night, Dan?
Um, I think obviously a little more production. You're gonna need a little more out of Hart. Gonna need a little more out of Mikal. Mikal was a non-factor in that fourth quarter against Miami. That cannot happen. We need Mikal to be scoring, even if it's 5 points.
Right,
It can make a massive difference. You don't want to put too much of a load on Cat, even though we know he's very capable of taking on a load. We've seen that many times. But my big thing is, you know, the whole point of this new structure of this Nick team is to get more out of the bench and get more out of your starters. Well, Mikal Bridges cannot disappear. So I'm going to need him to play all 4 quarters. I'm going to need him to be very productive all 4 quarters. Because even if it's one quarter, even if it's second, third, or fourth quarter where we don't see him at all, and a team like the Mavericks, they're okay, I guess. Um, they can take advantage of that. We don't want that.
right,
So obviously that Cat needs to continue doing what he's doing, and then on this is not a knock on Miles McBride because I like him. I love Deuce, but um, I think he's playing out of his spot, and I give him a lot of credit. I give him a lot of credit filling in for Brunson's shoes. So,
mm. And as we said, nobody can replace a
mm,
Jalen Brunson. I mean, I think personally, I would like to keep Miles on the bench
yeah,
and have somebody else coming off. The question is who you really going to thrust into that starting role instead of Juice right now, and that's what happens. That's all.
yeah. And can we get a win on the road? We're 0-4 on the road.
Yeah. It, Winning at home is always big. Why? Because you got the crowd behind you, and it helps. It's not going to do you any good if you go 41 and 41 on the season. You know, eh,
Yeah,
41, you got 41 wins away at home, but you can't win one game away. I mean, it's not going to work like that.
yeah. Um,
But
I will say I'm very excited to see Cooper Flag for the first time. Not the first time, but against the Knicks. You know,
yeah, he's had a nice solid, almost averaging a double double every game, which we all figured he would.
yeah.
Um,
Typical rookie stuff. He's not going to be explosive, but we know he has a lot of talent, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah, and we're going to see a lot from him in the upcoming years. Is he a Wemby? Is he the next Wemby, next LeBron? No. Is he the next turn up? Yes. Wemby had his moment in the sunlight. He got his rookie year. Now it's Cooper Flag's turn.
Yeah. By the way, shout
I
out
mean,
to
it's hard to kind of say when you say about Wemby. How do you like forget about the tallest, most agile man in all of sports right now?
yeah. By the way, shout out to Wemby. I hope you get better soon, buddy.
Yeah, Wemby and Giannis both go down with injuries. Um, it's a bad bug in all sports lately. The injury bug has really, really affected us.
Yeah.
But Nick's orange and blue will always be strong. We will get better. As I said, tomorrow night they face off against the Luka Doncic last Mavericks, and then we're on a little bit of a run. Dan and I will be back next Tuesday to recap the next few games and any updates on injuries. Also, breaking more news when it happens. Always tune in for the six man up because that's who Dan and I are. We are the six man for the New York Knicks
Yeah.
vocally.
Put me in,
And
coach. Like
maybe
the dream of mine, play for the Knicks.
Put me on Dan's shoulders, we might have a shot. We might have a shot.
Yeah.
For me, Mark Goldofsky Halpern, along with Danny Boy Reynolds, please check us out at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all blogs and vlogs. Dan, where on X are we posting?
At S Insanity Real. Follow our socials and please, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Why wouldn't you like any of the content that comes out here?
Mike Rifkin on vacation. I will be doing the NFL recap tomorrow, and that'll be up either Thursday or Friday. And then we will be back at it for Thursday Night Gridiron with Bill, Dan, and possibly me. And then also Sunday for Sunday Sideline Report with Danny Boy Reginald, Mike Rifkin, and myself to review all the news and ready to go for your NFL slate. Everybody, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you.